You know, every time you see Sabonis make one of these plays.
Hey guys, this is Dominique Wilkins.
Hey, this is Sean Kemp.
This is Gary Payton.
Hey, this is Pau Gasol.
NBA fans, what's up? This is Vince Carter here.
Hey, what's up? This is Matt Barnes. If you're an old school NBA fan like I am, make sure you check out the Basketball Time Machine with my man Sean David.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Basketball Time Machine. My name is Sean David. Let's talk some old school NBA. Now, for the past couple of weeks, I try to switch it up a little bit on this channel and also show you NBA legends react on videos with players that don't get covered that often. And in today's episode, I want to take a look at what NBA legends have to say about Arvydas Sabonis, one of the most underrated bigs of all time. All right, but enough said. Let's get right down into today's episode. Now, the first player's opinion that I want to take a look at is from Grant Hill. Now, Grant Hill played in exactly the same era as Arvydas Sabonis. Grant Hill playing for the Detroit Pistons and Arvydas Sabonis playing for the Portland Trailblazers. And as you can hear, Grant Hill has a lot of respect for Sabonis. Let's take a look.
I've always said that if he would have played his prime in the NBA, I mean, we caught him at the tail end. You played against him in '99. What can you say about one of the most skilled big men that we've ever seen in the NBA?
Yeah, well, first of all, I agree. I think we didn't see him in his prime, but what we saw was still something pretty special. He didn't have the mobility that he had in his youth, but his passing, his shooting, he was like a point guard at the center position. And you look at players who followed him, people like Divac and Jokic now, who's an all-star. He was that first guy to kind of play that way. We just didn't get a chance to see him here in the NBA at that level.
During the prime of his career, one of the best basketball players in the game, Arvydas Sabonis, was a virtual unknown.
The legend is unbelievable. You go over to Europe and people talk about Sabonis in a breath that you can't understand. Clearly, he was one of the most dominant players in the world.
The buzz about Sabonis began in the early 1980s, touting revolutionary skills that were redefining his position. But trapped behind the Iron Curtain, he remained a man of mystery.
Arvydas was Dirk Nowitzki, only 7'4", okay? He shot threes, passed the ball like Larry or Magic.
He was unbelievable because he was a big guy who can move, who can shoot, who can pass.
Our center can read the game, can play like a point guard. Young days, he just rebounds, one pass, and he finishes on the other side. It's pretty impressive.
If there's anyone who leads the league in things that only Wilt has done, it is Nikola Jokic. You of all people could discuss and enlighten us and educate us on the parallels of Arvydas Sabonis and Nikola Jokic.
I didn't get a chance to see Sabonis play until he came to the NBA, until he came to Portland. In his younger days, like Sabonis was probably the most dominant big man to play the game. Because he put it on the floor, not no crossover shit or nothing like that. You shoot the three. Sabonis probably the best big man passer that I've played with and seen. Every now and then we have some big men who, you know, they make a couple nice little dimes, you know, little Magic Johnsons. Sabonis is a hell of a passer, man, and I like Jokic. I don't know if he's as skilled as Sabonis with that pass.
Sabonis grew up in Kaunas, Lithuania, in the former Soviet Union. In this basketball-crazy nation, he was an instant sensation, joining the Lithuanian junior team at 15. And just 2 years later, becoming a member of the Soviet national team.
We had some scouts who were very into drafting the Europeans like Sabonis. I'd seen film on Sabonis forever. I mean, he was an unbelievable player.
Sabonis. You know, I played against Sabonis basically since I was 16. I told everyone all the time that if Sabonis was in the NBA, he'd be the best player possibly ever. And guys always say, come on. I said he'd be the best center in the league by far.
Sabonis again. Brilliant play.
Earning consecutive European Player of the Year honors helped spread his legend across the Atlantic. But Cold War politics prevailed, and Sabonis wasn't allowed to leave the Soviet Union. Still, an NBA team was willing to take a chance and wait, choosing him with a first-round pick in the 1986
Sabonis.
draft.
I think that he is a bit. Some people do talk about him, but still he's a bit underrated, at least in my opinion. Wanted to hear your thoughts on him and where you kind of rank him in the all-time center spots.
You have a guy like Sabonis. You talk about Sabonis, man. He was incredible. When we played with him, I think he had blown his Achilles out maybe 3 times by that time. So he couldn't. I would challenge that he probably couldn't jump over a telephone book when we played with him. But his talent level was so unreal. Like his hook shot, he had such a consistent hook shot over the left shoulder. He could turn right shoulder, the drop step to the right shoulder. He was so big, and his fundamentals were just unbelievable.
The Portland Trailblazers select Arvydas Sabonis of the Soviet Union.
As time passed, the Sabonis mystique grew due to rare glimpses on the international stage. In the 1988 Olympics, he led the Soviet Union to the gold medal, surprising Team USA and the world.
Oh, man. Look at the pass. Look at the pass by the big guy.
What I loved about him is he always put a little flair on his passes. It wasn't just a simple pass. It was a hook around pass.
Hooks it to Smith and he lays it in.
And then he give you the wink like, told you, I can get it done.
Sabonis, he was the guy that everyone said, I wish we could have seen him play in the NBA when he was the height of his career.
Shaq comes out to play him. Sabonis goes around him for the slam. Holy Lithuania!
There were a bunch of European players that had an impact on European young kids, and Sabonis is definitely up there with the best of them.
I don't know if there's another player in the history of the game that can do what he did.
Sabonis, the big boy from Lithuania.
He's simply one of the best to ever put on a basketball uniform.
A player you wanted to coach, but you never did.
Oh, there's a lot of those. And I coached a lot of great people and a lot of great players. I wish I could have coached Arvydas Sabonis.
A really talented team led by Sabonis, who at that time was still moving pretty well in his career and did some amazing things out there on the court. But it was a disappointment not to win the gold medal, but it was obviously an honor to represent your country.
And you mentioned Sabonis. That's when he still had his knees, and just imagine, him coming to the league when he was in his prime compared to, 32, 33 when he actually came. But we'll never know.
Yeah, we never know. But you know what? Somebody who is similar to Sabonis that's playing right now is the Joker in Denver. In terms of not above the rim type guy, but great IQ.
I mean, we saw him when he was, bigger and slower, but he still was able to run that offensive game. We have a teammate here, we have a teammate here, Isaiah Thomas, that played for NBA championships. What would that matchup have looked like with a Clyde Drexler and an Arvydas Sabonis against the bad boys?
The bad boys.
Detroit.
I mean, I'm an unofficial bad boy cousin. And I think those Piston teams were great. It would have been interesting. I think the Pistons were destined to win that year with that special group. But with Clyde and that talent out there in the early 90s, late 80s, forget about the bad boys. You start thinking about the Lakers. Like, would they been able to get out? I mean, it would have changed things. And even if you go back even further, and one of our other teammates here at NBA TV, Kevin McHale, as great as those Boston Celtics teams were, you think of Dominique and Kevin Willis and a young Sabonis, it would have been interesting. I'm not saying they would have beat the Celtics, but he was that kind of impactful player. And had, if you insert him into those teams that were already playoff teams, already teams that felt like they were contenders, history could have been different.
To me, it's always super interesting. If I talk to NBA legends and we talk about Arvydas Sabonis, they all say the same thing, that if it wasn't for those injuries, at the time when he came to the NBA, we would probably talk about one of the best players of all time. And I can see it. That guy was not only a passing genius and could shoot from outside, but his basketball IQ was off the charts. And it's super unfortunate that we never could have seen him in his prime. But yeah, if you have basketball IQ and know the game, if you are a basketball historian, a real fan, then you can see that this guy was no joke. This guy was for real and a true legend. All right, you guys, that was it for today's episode. Don't forget to become a member of the Basketball Time Machine channel, and I'll see you next time. Take care and goodbye.